米の国に大変身したわけです。
すごい。
でこの人は民主主義を無視した強権発動でしょ。なのに国民のヒーローとなったんです。でこれ先週から言ってるけど非常にものすごく大事な重要なちゃんと注目しておかなきゃいけない動きなんですよ。これに重きを置いてるのは多分、まあ僕ぐらいだと思うんですよ。ものすごく大事なんです。これ聖書的な視点で。で第2期の選挙に勝利した後に7万人ものギャングを一挙に逮捕したわけでしょ。その件についてイギリスの BBC が取材をしてこの大統領選挙に受かった後、つい最近ですよ、質問したんです。こんないっぱいね逮捕するのは珍しくないっていうか、世界にこんなことはなかったと。これに対するブケレ大統領の答えが最高すぎます。
最高すぎる。
見ましょう。どうぞ。
The right way, you take your best government and you put him to govern Afghanistan and tell them, okay, you govern Afghanistan the same way you govern this European country. You'll be dead in a week because you cannot govern Afghanistan like you govern Europe. We don't tell you that you shouldn't have a monarchy. I mean, we're fine with your monarchy. We love your monarchy. It's fine. We don't say, oh, you shouldn't have a monarchy and you shouldn't have hereditary titles. Why? Because it's your country. You can do whatever you want with it. In the 80s, the war. You had a fight with the Soviet Union. Had nothing to do with us. What did you do? You financed El Salvador to fight a war between us, between brothers. 1 million displaced. They went to the US into ghettos. They formed the gangs. Then they deport the gangs. Gangs come here. You send us another recipe. Law to don't arrest minors. But all the gang members were minors at the time. So gangs grew, and then they terrorized the country. They started killing people, and we became the murder capital of the world. El Salvador was turned from the most dangerous place in the world to the safest in the Western Hemisphere.
El Salvador President Nayib Bukele was speaking to the press after his re-election to a second term in office on February 5th. In his first term, Bukele gave overarching powers to security forces to fight gangs in the Central American nation. More than 75,000 people were arrested in less than 2 years, leading to a drastic cut in the influence that gangs had on civilian lives. But human rights organizations have said that hundreds have been unlawfully jailed as part of Bukele's stringent policies. According to one NGO, more than 6,000 Salvadorans have disappeared since Bukele assumed power. At this press conference, a BBC reporter mentioned some of these charges while naming a man called Jose Alvarado, whose disappearance has made news in the foreign press.
Case that I've been looking at, a young man called Jose Mata Alvarado, and I can pass obviously on all the details to your team. His mother was bringing food to the prison where he was at. It turns out he'd been moved to the Secot some weeks, months in fact, earlier, while she was faithfully bringing food to the prison. It seems like he's completely lost in the system, and there are 2 órdenes de liberación in his name, one as recently as June last year, and yet he's simply not been released, even though the 20 days is obviously now 6 months ago, by which time he should have been out. I'm wondering what if your intention is to sort of work on the legal side of things, assuming you win today and that you are president for the next 5 years.
Well, it's important to say that if there was one police in the world, one police force that has 0% of margin of error, they only arrest guilty people. Why would you need prosecutors or defense or a justice system? You won't need that. So every country in the world will have an imperfect police. Now, it is different when you have in countries that promote ethnic cleansing, for example, or they promote or they arrest political opponents, or they arrest a minority. But in our case, all of the arrests to end the bloodshed, we lived for decades, and we have ended it. Now, did our police made a couple of mistakes? Of course they did. That's why our judicial system has been freed innocent people, and they will free every innocent people the police has wrongly arrested. And we have already freed 7,000 people.
One point on that, of course,
yes,
though, is that 75,000 people in the space of a year regularly arrested by police anywhere else in the world, and that this is a unique situation with unique powers given to the security forces to make arrests on site according to criteria deemed by them.
Yes, of course, because you don't live in the world murder capital. So when you don't live in the world murder capital, it's because you don't have enough murderers to fill a prison like ours. El Salvador was, by your own accounts, the world murder capital. Every study made by the World Bank, by the NGOs, by the experts, they always said El Salvador has at least 70,000 gang members and 500,000 collaborators. So you would expect that to end that, you would need to arrest 570,000 people. So why do we have the biggest incarceration rate in the world? Because we changed the murder capital of the world's most dangerous country, into the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. And the only way to do that is to arrest all the murderers. There's no other way to do it. Well, the other way to be to kill all the murderers, but we don't have death penalty, so we have to arrest all the murderers.
でこの後なんですよ。あまりにもこの続きで本当のことを言いまして、BBC の記者に説教するんですよ。この続きを見たいと思います。こちらです。どうぞ。
So you say, why is such a big number? Well, what do you expect? That we arrest 100 people and we leave 69,900 gang members in the streets and suddenly the murder rate will drop? Or do you expect that we, because we're Salvadorans or something, because we're second-class citizens or something, we have to die? They have to kill our families, they have to kill our children, they have to, because your liberal ideas of what a democracy should be have to be respected, and we, since we're not using your recipe, then we have to be killed, we have to let our children be killed, we have to let the bloodshed to go on for 50 years because of imported policies from your countries, because your countries have lectured us in the 80s, the war. You had a fight with the Soviet Union, had nothing to do with us. What did you do? You financed El Salvador to fight a war between us, between brothers. We killed each other and 85,000 Salvadorans died. After that, 1 million displaced. They went to the US, into ghettos. They formed the gangs. Then they deport the gangs. Gangs come here. You send us another recipe. Law to don't arrest minors. Okay, but all the gang members were minors at the time. So gangs grew, and then they terrorized the country. They started killing people, and we became the murder capital of the world. Nobody could solve it. We took the recipes from the OAS, we took the recipes from the UN, we took the recipes from the European Union, we took the recipes from the United States. None of the recipes worked. More bloodshed, more people were dying. So what do? Okay, we do something and we save people. And now we're the safest country in the Western Hemisphere. But suddenly something's bad. Oh, but you shouldn't do that. You should do what I think you should do. Why? Not only we have the right to do what we think is right, and what the Salvadoran people are going to decide whether or not they want this day in free elections, but also we've proven it works. And you haven't proven that your system works in our country. Might work in yours, I don't know. But it doesn't work in ours. It's like I told one time a member of the European Union, I know you Brexited that, but I told a member of the European Union, you take your best government, you choose your best government, same people, same talent, same experts, same will to do things, and you put them to govern Afghanistan and tell them, okay, you govern Afghanistan the same way you govern this European country. You'll be dead in a week because you cannot govern Afghanistan like you govern Europe. So stop trying to make us use your recipes because they don't work here. You have your own system. We don't tell you that you shouldn't have a monarchy. I mean, we're fine with your monarchy. We love your monarchy. It's fine because it's your country. You can do whatever you want with it. But suddenly, we have to do what you want to do with our country. This has been proven by all of you and by all independent sources. El Salvador was turned from the most dangerous place in the world to the safest in the Western Hemisphere. That's not a small feat, and that's not done easily. And nobody in the world has ever done it before, so fast and so clean like we have done it here, with no civilian casualties. I know it's different, but we're doing our best here, and we're really trying, and the Salvadoran people today are going to vote freely in free and fair elections and in full democracy and choose their own path.
いやこれどうですか。
すごいこれは。
この人すごいでしょ。
いや
結局世界最悪の殺人都市シュートになったのはあんたたちがやったんだろうってことでしょ。
そういう ことだよね。
あなたたちのやり方でやったら結果こうなった、それを解決したんだって何が悪いんだって言って7000人ぐらいの不法逮捕がいたんだよ。強権発動だから間違って逮捕されちゃった無罪の人も7000人いたけど、それがどうしたって感じなわけ。皆さん、日本だったら7000人間違った人逮捕されたら大変な話じゃない。
確かに。
それがどうしたら世界最悪から一番安全になった、それがどうした。だから民主主義よりも俺たちがやったことの方が国を救ったじゃないか。でこの論調で今彼の支持率がほぼ 90% でしょ。で大ヒーローで、しかもさっき言ったんだけど C パック、アメリカの C パックが彼を呼んだわけですよ。
いやー、
なんと中米の小国エルサルバドルの大統領が米国の C パックで米国の保守に熱狂的に迎えられて、米国人に警告を与えるというとんでもない現象が起きてます。
そうそう、
こちら見てください。もうこれ昨日です。どうぞ。
Something very interesting happened yesterday. The president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, gave America a stark warning. Listen.
They say globalism comes to die at CPAC. I'm here to tell you that in El Salvador, it's already dead. But if you want globalism to die here too, you must be willing to unapologetically fight against everything and everyone that stands for it. Fight for your freedoms. Fight for your rights. The next president of the United States must not only win an election, he must have the vision, the will, and the courage to do whatever it takes. And above all, he must be able to identify the underlying forces that will conspire against him. These dark forces are already taking over your country.
Watch him address the El Salvador army a few months ago.
For 8 months, we've been fighting this war against the gangs, and thank God we're winning. This is a very surprising victory that is nearly within our grasp. Let it be clear that the glory is for God, and it is God's glory. We humans are lucky to be instruments of God, all of us, to bring peace, liberty, and happiness to the Salvadoran people. These values were probably not strong in this land, and were strong in other lands, and that's why those lands grew and became great. But they are losing those values now.
While President Donald Trump met with Bukele to negotiate immigration, the two of them came to an agreement. Fast forward to 2021, Joe Biden refused to meet with him because Biden claimed that Bukele is corrupt.
いやこれねすごいことなんですよ。
本当に
この人のおじいちゃんがスファラディユダヤね。ユダヤ人の血を吹く人で、お父さんがイスラム教でお母さんがカトリックでしょ。それで民主主義じゃなくって、7000人いようが8000人いようが不法逮捕の人は後で釈放すればいいんだって話でしょ。それで劇的に治安を回復した。つまり独裁主義なんだけども大歓迎されている。でそれが今アメリカの保守に大歓迎されていて、この人たちを批判しているのはバイデンさんとか、あるいはトランプ大統領を批判している極左の人たちは、トランプになったら独裁主義になるぞと、民主主義が死ぬぞと言ってずっと極左の人たちがトランプさんを非難しているわけです。
言ってきてる、
ね、でもこのマガの人たちはこの今独裁者を大歓迎してるわけです。でも実際には治安が下がってエルサルバドルでは大ヒーローじゃないかと、このようなだからこういう人が独裁者になる資格があるんですよ。これ聖書的な視点で見ると、聖書が警告している独裁者のぴったり当てはまる一人が実はこの人です。でこういう人がやがて世界に君臨する可能性がある時代が来ることを我々はずっと僕は警告してるんですけど、もうここでこの人のケースからケーススタディで学べる最高の人物が今登場しちゃったっていうことなんですよ。だからこれは今非常に重要な動きなんですね。
確かに、
もうこういう人が現れたらもう世界の問題を解決してくれて平和になるんだったら、独裁で結構個人の自由もういりません、どうぞ独裁してくださいっていうふうにどんどん自由を明け渡していく人々が続出する はずですよ。
確かにね。でそのリーダーがこれを撃てって言ったらね。
そうですそうです。でだってこの人は逮捕したギャングの下着1枚の姿で X で晒し者にするような人ですよ。
すごいな。
それでも大ヒーローなんですよ。だから人権とかどうでもいいんだけど大ヒーローなんですよ。わかります？でその気持ちわかるじゃん。やったーってなるもんね、これ見てると。
これだけ殺されていっちゃってたらね。
いやいやということで今非常に興味深いことが起こってます。この辺は深くバイブルリアリティでやってますんでね。皆さんぜひともバイブルリアリティに来てください。